Okay, so my name is Drew Conway. I want to thank everyone for inviting me today. When I was sold by Matt on coming here to speak to you tonight, I asked him what he wanted me to talk about, and he said, just talk about the state of data science, particularly as you see it in New York. And as you could probably tell from the previous speakers, the state and the proliferation of data science meetups, that the state of data science is quite healthy. But I want to tell a story, a cautionary story today about one observation that I've seen in the data science marketplace that I think is important to call out and probably dangerous, and it's about not feeding wildebeest. So by way of introduction, I'm called a data scientist on Twitter. I'm actually a political scientist by training. If you don't believe me, that's me getting my PhD in political science very recently, in not a Purple Wizards convention or anything like that. And one of the things that I study as a political scientist is networks. That's formed a lot of my dissertation research and academic work studying networks. So a while back, some time ago in the New Mexico desert, that's me speaking with an applied mathematician friend of mine in the New Mexico desert. You can tell it's me because I'm taller and I have a weird shaped head. We were talking about a paper that we had seen in Nature or Science about networks, and a physicist had come up with this model that explained everything that human beings could ever possibly do. And he explained it through lots and lots of data on networks, and we were lamenting the fact that oftentimes physicists and the so-called hard scientists sort of come in and write papers on things like social science topics that they don't particularly have a lot of training in. So my friend has this great quotation. He says, when a new discipline is introduced, physicists are like wildebeests on a fertile plain. They rush in like a stampede and lay claim to all the interesting problems, never checking to see if other disciplines have already worked on them or what is known. And that actually made me laugh really hard because I'm a political scientist, and I really appreciated him saying that because he's an applied mathematician. But you know, I love physicists personally. I think physicists do some really cool stuff. They build things like this. Everybody knows what this is, right? CERN. CERN is pretty impressive, right? 27 kilometers in circumference, 175 meters below surface, costs about $9 billion to make. So lots of respect for physicists. They do awesome work, right? I'm a political scientist. Anybody know who that is? There you go. So that's Tom Coburn. He's the senior senator from Nebraska. He hates political science. He really hates it. He's worked really, really hard this last year to get our funding cut out of the NSF, totally cut. He thinks what we do is really useless because he thinks that most people don't need any research on Congress. You can sort of figure out why that might be. So the national science funding for political science is the largest single source of funding for academic research in the political sciences. But it makes about 1.2% of a $7.8 billion budget. That's a really small number, right? We've had one Nobel Prize winner and several Nobel laureates funded through this research. And this is all to say, and I should say that that's all gone now, thanks to Senator Coburn. We're not getting that money anymore. But this is all to say that I really think that what physicists and hard scientists do is important. But as I look around the new discipline of data science, particularly stuff that Chris, folks up at Columbia, and people at NYU are trying to put together, I think there's not enough attention being paid to what social scientists are doing and what social scientists know. And I think that starts with the hiring and the marketing of data scientists in organizations that many of you may work at, right? So have the wildebeest come for data scientists, right? Are wildebeest here to take away or advertise the jobs for data scientists? So this morning I went on Indeed.com and just searched data science jobs in New York City. And these are literally, what is that, the top 5 hits, and these are the requirements for education. So PhD in comp sci or math, master's degree in statistics, master's or PhD in advanced applied math, statistics, engineering. You could read down, but the story's the same. So it looks like the wildebeest have come for data science. But there's a fundamental problem here, and I think it bears sort of highlighting, right? So what kind of companies are hiring data scientists, particularly in New York, right? We have social media companies, advertising companies, finance, traditional media, and then insurance, which was one that I hadn't really thought much about, but actually on Indeed, there were a lot of insurance companies hiring data scientists, so I thought that was interesting. And if we think about what the fundamental unit of analysis is for those people in those jobs, well, for social media, human relationships, right? That's what social media websites are generating, that's the data. Advertising and targeting, individual human preference, right? What are the humans going to consume as they're surfing a website? Finance is an interesting one. I mean, Finance houses hire a lot of economists, so this is a little bit of a gray area, but I think of that as human signaling, right? What is someone's preference for making a costly transaction? Traditional media is the sort of inverse of advertising, which is what is collective human preference? What are lots of people going to watch on television? And then insurance is the easy one. Human risk assessment. What are people willing to? How are people assessing their own risk? So I've added highlighting there, right? We can see kind of a theme that runs through these units of analysis. They're about people, right? They're about individuals that make their own choices. They're not about atoms that follow laws. So there's this weird problem that I've seen in the preferences for hiring managers, the thing that they're studying, and then who they're hiring, right? Organizations have this strong preference to hire people who are not trained in the fundamental unit of analysis that they're supposed to be analyzing. That seems odd to me, right? So then I got to thinking more about, all right, what is it that actually I think of when my friends and I, who are labeled as data scientists, like, right? Data scientists like to illustrate the current state of things, right? Lots of charts and graphs, summary statistics, dashboards, that sort of thing. We also like to predict future observations, right? So we see something and we want to say, what does that tell me about what the next thing I'll see will be? And then we like to classify stuff, say, that belongs to that set, that belongs to that set. And then if I think, well, what do my friends in the hard sciences really like to do? They really like to build stuff, like to spend $9 billion on building things like CERN. And that's awesome because we need to build lots of cool stuff. They like provable theories and laws, though. That's hard. That's really, really hard when it comes to people. And they like randomized trials. It's also really, really hard when it comes to people. What do social scientists like, though? We like to explain stuff. We like to talk about what we've researched, create those charts, get you on our side so you understand what we're thinking. Right? We like testable theoretical models, not provable ones. We'd love provable models, but that's not the thing that we study. And we like natural experiments, right? We like to observe experiments that may have occurred naturally in the world and then try to tease out things like causality that are really hard to do with humans. So as I look at that top set and I look at that bottom set, it seems like they map much more nicely to what social scientists do than to what hard scientists do. But I love hard scientists, right? I just think there's an alternative career path for them that's not necessarily well aligned with data science, right? I think that hard scientists do a really, really good job of building the tools and thinking through the hard problems that we're not going to think about and we're not really prepared to do. So I think we can work together. So I want everyone in this room who has the authority to hire a data scientist to raise their hand, or who are hiring people. I want you guys to stand up for a second. All the people who can hire data scientists. I'm not kidding. Stand up. Yep. I want you to hire more prairie dogs, right? That's what data scientists are. We're people who like to get in and do the little things, right? Nibble on bits for a little while. Don't sit down, because you're going to take a pledge. You're going to take a pledge right now. All those people who hire data scientists, at least raise your right hand. I want you to repeat after me. I, say full name. I, with hiring authority for data science staff at, oh, come on, pledge to interview at a minimum one candidate with an advanced degree in the social sciences for my next available data science position. All right? I will not feed the wildebeests. Thank you.